refinements over your average traction engine, because it was built for the moving of heavy loads. They were built for transporting heavy equipment, and to make them more suitable for road work, they were fitted with various refinements, including, you can see the front water tank or the belly tank under the boiler. That'll allow you to travel much further between the water stops. An agricultural engine. Number 22, Mr. Blaker with Monty. Monty is a double crank compound traction engine fitted with a solid flywheel, and it works on an estate in Hampshire, and it's I suppose you'd call it's a higher spec than your average agricultural engine. Stowmarket, so if anybody fancies a good day out in the Stowmarket area, the Food Museum, formerly known as the Museum of East Anglian Life, has many fascinating exhibits, including their own single crank compound burrell, very similar to the Duchess. Okay, number 44, first of ours. And that one is sponsored by Furnace Plumbing. Number 28 in your programme is the Muddler. Another engine that years ago was a regular hero horsepower when you buy a car or a tractor. It gave the customer a very rough idea of the sort of work an engine was capable of. Your average for a single cylinder thrashing engine would be 7 horse, so the Muddler there is a big one. Fitted with a belly tank, front tank for extra water. Tom tells me it's extremely slow on the road, so you think you'd be great for a roller. And this one, like I said, it's an early example. Various working owners in Kent and early preservation. Been owned by Matt for a number of years. Travels pretty much all places under its own steam. When I came here on Sunday, I followed the roller marks. I thought, I wonder who that is. But anyway, here it is. That one is sponsored by Sheffins, the auctioneers. And all Aveling rollers or Aveling engines have a horse on the front, and if you catch me after the parade, I will tell you why. But Aveling and Porter actually built more steam rollers than all other manufacturers put together. The things that the big road loco had got, they're also very popular for extracting and loading timber. And this engine actually spent a part of its career with the Thurston family on the fairgrounds, hence it still carries twisted brass cab supports. And recently Charles and friends restored this engine back to match a photo of it taken in its working career. So that's as near as you can. Recently repainted in green and brown. Number 6 in your programmes then is Steve Bush's Rosemary. Fowler Showman's type engine, this one. Started life as a roller which worked in Scotland. Had no end of work carried out to bring it up to the high standard you see there. He's always up bright and fresh early in the morning with the brasso. He's obviously seen the forecast for a bit of damp in the air, so he's got the cab brasses wrapped up with cling film. That's Rosemary, that's Steve Bush's lovely Fowler Showman's type engine. Number 41, another one of our rollers. You'll have heard me said earlier, burrels. Aveling's built more rollers than everybody else, but all the other manufacturers had a go as well. And there was a firm in Thetford, Doran Brothers, were rolling contractors, and unsurprisingly, as they were round the corner from Burrell's Works, the vast majority of their engines were Burrells, and I think all of them might well have been. This one's owned by Keith and Elizabeth Grimsey. Very familiar faces here at Haddenham, whether with the roller or the portable or other road-making equipment. And well, claim to fame for this roller, known as Leader, it ran over Hairflick's car on a lower low. And Hairflick said it was very serious because the Gestapo was only insured third party. That one is sponsored by Harrison. Number 16, another Burrell, and an interesting one, this one. It is the oldest Burrell traction engine, Century, or as I've written on my list here, Woofer. We don't call it Woofer anymore. The name changed in 1976 because in 1976 the engine was 100 years old. And well known of the Weeding Rally. Lovely to see a Century here in steam. And that one's sponsored by SR Harrodyne. Now another one of our road engines. This one is a Fowler. This is a Douglas. It's formerly owned by Chris Lambert in Kent. It attended the East Anglian Traction Engine Club's first rally at Sailing in 1955 before passing to the Field family. Now something rather special now. There's only 4 Fowler 3-speed tractors in existence. 2 of them are broken. And the other 2 here, actually no, that's a bit unfair to this Harris, his engine isn't broken. But no, this is Gus and Evelyn Holman with the Foster tractor. And years ago they used to come to Haddenham in showman's guise, as it had worked in Northern Ireland, and recently fully restored back to original condition. And that one is sponsored by Harrison Tractors. Number 29, first of our steam wagons. This one is tiny, owned by Nicola and Andy Caldo, and sponsored by TD Developments, this one. So the forerunner and a modern lorry. The steam wagons are divided into 2 distinct types, under-type and over-type. Foden wagon is an over-type engine. It's got the engine over the boiler. You see the big chain drive down to the rear axle as it comes round. Features on his engine included the full-length canopy and the big toolbox or wine cabinet in the back of the cab. That one's sponsored by Pet Rest, owned by Roger Adams and driven today by Sam. So there we are, nice example of a heavy barrel roller. Number 8 is Clementine. Clementine is an enabling tractor, towing a living wagon, and a little feature you'll see on a number of these engines as they come round the ring. You can see the coiled up hose behind the wheel, behind the driver there. That's a water lifter hose. You can use that to draw water from a roadside ditch or a stream, never ever from the parish horse trough, to enable you to carry on with your journey. Number 23 then is Ada. Ada is another regular here at Haddenham, possibly one of the very first purchased for purely for preservation. He said there's a nice one in Harris's, if you get down there quick, you might have it. So when he got on his bike, he got straight down to the scrapyard and bought the engine, and they say it's the only one to come out of Harris's yard in one piece. And it's now owned by Ollie's grandson, David Gowlett, who's steering, driven today by Tom Gowlett, and this one known as Sir Gordon, sponsored by A&J Freeman and Son. Spent its working career in Surrey and Sussex, ended up with the Lugg family at Billingshurst, was damaged in a bomb strike during the Second World War and stood up. Purchased for restoration by John Bush, who sadly died before it could be completed. Purchased by the Easton family in 2018, its first season rallying 2019. Driven today by Ben Easton and steered by the lovely Adam Gerald. It never gets old, does it? Yes, it that was the prize winner here at Haddenham a few years back. Very, very dark green. I usually think it was black. That one's sponsored by Erie Timber Products, and David's the man who's going to finish my Ruston in time for the East Anglian Club's anniversary next year. John Wallace with Joe Wallace's Burrell, nice engine this one, Burrell 3-speed, solid flywheel from new, owned for worked for Frank Stevens from Palgrave in Diss, and an engine that travels all rallies under its own steam as well, driven by John Wallace and steered by the lovely Alan Richards. They're getting all the good crew in today because it's going to rain tomorrow, so they'll all have their raincoats on. And that one, I didn't see, oh yeah, that one is sponsored by Series Machinery. This is one of my attended local rallies, although as far as we can make out, I never actually made it to Haddenham. It had work carried out on it by the late Stan Burgess in his work for Haddenham. We took it back there a couple of years ago. It's now owned by the Newton family from Hungerford, but it's on holiday in Norfolk driven today by Scott Bunting and steered by my father Robert Humphrey, going back to 1971. And John Gaunt is sponsored by FC Palmer and Sons. Okay, interesting old engine now. This is Lord Derby. Lord Derby was new to S.J. Rossbottom for karting, sand and shale. Purchased by Richard Parrott in 1985. It's actually fitted with the crane off of the Burrell Works engine Emperor. Around the yard at Weeding. Driven today by Kate Plant, future chairman of the East Anglian Traction Engine Society and co-ordinator of the Weeding Rally, had talents know no end. Steered by Elijah Joshua Josiah Bell, PhD. He's brought all his teeth with him. And that is sponsored by HCR Hewitson. I think they couldn't sponsor the Aveling because that would be a conflict of interest. Anyway, this is followed by, I don't know what that is. I think they couldn't sponsor the Aveling because that would be a conflict of interest. Anyway, this is followed by, I don't know what that is because he hasn't put the number on. You don't know what it is, does he? Well, I know what it is, of course, it's Gentle Annie. Gentle Annie was new to Stanley North in Middlesex, and then for many years was owned by Taylor Brothers of Wimbish. 1968, Ben Taylor sold it to Roy Swain and said, if she makes you half the money she's made me, you'll be a millionaire. So now owned by Michael Swain, so I want to know why he isn't a millionaire. He ain't done enough rolling, that's what it is. So yeah, that's Gentle Annie, sponsored today by M. Deere Garden Services. And they just tell you whatever way you wanted to hire. Never mind, this is followed by Boston. Another one, a small horse on this one. This is Nick Allen's. Worked in the Black Country, Tipton Urban District Council, sponsored by Banold Supplies, and is a compound roller with slide downs. All the way from the Strumpshaw Museum. Lovely to see this wagon back here. I don't think it's been since Jimmy passed away in 2006. So there we are, it's returned after a few years away. Lives at the Strumpshaw Museum. If you ever find yourself in the north of Norfolk and you want a day out, between motors. So it's got everything a good steam tractor should have. Nice set of rubber tyres, belly tank, cab to keep the weather off. Fairly fast, comfortable on the road. We like to see all our old favourites and regulars here at Haddenham, but we've got a nice number of new faces this year, so that's always a pleasure. This is followed by the Highlander. You can tell by the amount of adornments and brass, and actually the Higgins family who own it, they've toned it down quite a lot since they bought it. Always presented in immaculate condition. It's had boiler work and everything else. Carried out by the owners. They've had it for a number of years now, and nice to see it here. That one is sponsored by Pomfret. This is the Sentinel Steam Wagon. And bear in mind, Sentinel's wagon with 2 G's, always. If you spell it with 1 G, you're spelling it wrong. It's casting brass on the side of the cab, just for added proof. Melvin Camps on the side of the cab, just for added proof. Melvin Camps at the wheel. He's looking just as lively as he was outside the beer tent at 11 o'clock last night. Drove this engine here under its own steam from Wimbish yesterday. He said it went really well till he got the water hydraulics. It was also extensively used for transporting railway carriages on the Isle of Wight, where it spent its whole working life. And that one is sponsored by Burt's Motorsports. Now this is followed by Tucker of Loughborough's old brick wagon, owned by Mr. Whaling. I've known Mr. Whaling for a good number of years. We've had a few adventures and misadventures. And it is unique, this one. It's a prototypical thing. It's built on a Bedford chassis with an ordinary locomotive type boiler, an engine fitted. Interesting little engine. This weekend here at Haddenham. Now the steam car never really caught on as a means of transport, I think it's fair to say. They were a rich man's toy. Yeah. He's going to do it. That one was an export model that was brought back to England and restored, and another regular here at Haddenham. Number 25, Old Nick. Nice to see this one back again. The Eagle family. Tom and Andrew on the footplate. Many had to pump up tyres, and There's a deluxe model. This has got the standard, the earlier solid tyres on cast wheels, similar to the Sentinel. That one's
Okay, so number 75, Carl Harvey, with his single crank compound barrel road engine. And engineers and things like Steam Traction World have brought the world of engine ownership and model building and everything into the hands of everybody else, which is only to be applauded, I think. Followed by the 4.5-inch scale barrel traction engine Victoria. Messing around with any of those foreign metric things because I can't count or think in them. So if I tell you an engine 4 inches of the foot, 4-inch scale is 4 inches of the foot or 1/3 full size. Number 84 is Patsy, nice Clayton. Clayton traction engine, built in Lincoln. This one was built in 2009 by an engineer in Ireland, completely overhauled by the last owner in North Derbyshire, and purchased this year by Tony and Richard Nightingale from Haddenham in Kent.
So you heard me talk about road locomotives a little while ago. Don't need to rattle on about them anymore, but nice example of that one. Followed by Mr. Bush with his Foden wagon Sam, number 70 in the plate.
Cars and everything else. Well, I don't have to look you up in the programme, you cooked me with tea last night. Are the sunglasses hiding a hangover?
Warrington in Essex. Followed by Richard Warden and his good lady on number 61, which is Harriet, half size, towing an authentic load of a City Black Dog.
Number 73. Isn't number 73? Because that's crazy.
Tractor. So a shorter version of the Foden wagons we saw earlier, the sort of thing that might be used by a timber contractor for winching and haulage. That one's known as
Roger Kitely from Chatteris, and this is a lovely half-size replica of a 1924 Garrett steam tractor. A beautiful three-quarter length cab, AGE logos on the sides. That was an ill-fated attempt to amalgamate the steam manufacturers at the end of steam to try and get a bit more life, but they were flogging a dead horse. It all came very much to an end. So that's Roger with his lovely Garrett, and then Ray Cowles, another regular here with his various engines over the years.
Number 78 is the Peggs family's another Burrell Road engine, that one, again in 4-inch scale, owned by the Peggs family in Bury St Edmunds.
Peggs family in Bury St Edmunds. The family are now on their 5th generation of engine drivers. I know the late John Peggs was very pleased to tell me whenever I saw him that after the 1965 Chatteris Rally, he steered our engine back to Cottenham with Uncle Bob. And the yellow colour on the wheels there is what's known as Burrell straw. Number 87. It's the first model that Ben Tregear's ever owned that doesn't spend all its time broken or being held together with cable ties. That doesn't agree either, but the numbers are wrong. Never mind. It's a Fowler Road engine called Kitchener. In the livery of F.J. Barnes from Portland, it was the previous owner, been owned by Ben for a little while. Smart little model, and that's steered today by Darcy Stroud. Number 71, which is number 73 in the programme due to a misprint, is Mr. Sam Morgan with his Burrell Success. Very good name for an engine. And it's followed by Ray Cowles' old engine, Percy the second. That one is owned and driven by Claire Rivers from Bury St Edmunds. Now we have Jason Trainer with the single crank compound road engine come Showman's. Patrick is going to put the roof on it next, then he won't be able to see where he's going. Number 85 is the bright red engine called Bluebell. The model of the Dodman engine built in King's Lynn, owned by Kev, formerly of the Spitbangs. He's now graduated to a model engine. He looks after the boilers for half the board housewives in Essex. So if you've run out of oil, give him a call. This followed by Mr. Edward George, a beautiful half-size Fowler Tiger tractor, first season in steam, and a meticulous job as one would expect from Edward. Now this is the one that had the loose nuts, and he's driving the Fowler. The existing Showman's engines couldn't cope, so they added a second dynamo behind the chimney to excite the main dynamo to make it all work properly. Now, lovely model here with local relevance. It's built by Roger Kitely, this one, now owned by Simon Rutherford from March. and it's in the colours of local firm Derby's of Sutton. 3, 2, 1, go!